everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are really excited today to have an interview with another Hallmark actor. We're talking today with actor Peter Graham-Gaudreau. And Peter, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks, Rachel.
Yes. So, Peter, what we like to do with all of our guests is we like to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to get into acting.
Okay, well, I grew up in a very small town on the sort of New York border back east, about 3 hours southeast of Toronto, and just about, 8 hours north of New York City. And we grew up on a farm, and then when we moved into the city after my dad died, we were kind of bouncing around a little bit, and then there was this great drama teacher in my high school, actually, who was also the math teacher and a pilot. She took us out flying in her four-seater plane. Very cool lady. She was also the weather lady on the local TV station, which was kind of funny. And she took our theater class to New York City to see some amazing plays and stuff. But she was kind of the first person. I was doing a lot of sports and just kind of different things. Had a lot of energy, and she just kind of said, "I'm going to put you in this show," and put me in the production of Camelot, and then so I just kept doing plays with her and stuff, and she kind of helped me find my direction, and I liked that whole that whole world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's really, really cool. So you did Camelot, and what are some other shows you did?
In high school, we did some Moliere plays. It was funny, at that time, Grease was just recently out, and they were trying to get the rights to do Grease as a musical, and they couldn't do it, which was a bummer. So we ended up doing something called Carousel, I think, which was a play about a circus. Prophetic, maybe, because I ended up doing a lot of circus stuff later in my life. But yeah, so I ended up playing this sort of snake charmer guy. The evil sort of villain of the piece, which was fun.
Is it the old Rodgers and Hammerstein Carousel?
Probably. I don't know. Yeah. Gosh, I can't remember. Yeah, you would know, maybe.
Cool.
But there was a lot of neat people in that world. It wasn't a world I was familiar with. I was sort of, more from a blue collar kind of world, and then suddenly I was in with all these different people, and kind of like my daughter is in high school now, finding her people, and in the drama thing that she's in, I kind of found a world that kind of worked for me along with the sports,
Yeah. What sports were you into?
I was playing a lot of hockey, so I had hopes to go far with that, and I did, and I played with a couple of guys who did go to the NHL, and there was a lot of Kingston it was the first capital of Canada, for if anybody doesn't know that, before Ottawa. And it's where, when a lot of the loyalists came from the U.S., they built a big fort just right on the St. Lawrence there. So it was a big war that took place there. And it's a real military town, but a real hockey town. Some people say it's the place where hockey started playing in those games. And I actually played in the 100th year reenaction of a game between the military college and the Queen's University, which is the old university there. Yeah, so I played a lot of hockey, and I played football. I was on the rowing team. I was captain of the volleyball team, and then in university, I went into a phys ed program. I just played every sport there was because that was kind of my energy outlet. Well,
all that hockey experience must come in handy with some of these Hallmark movies.
I haven't done any hockey in the hall. Have you seen any Hallmark movies with hockey in?
Well, there's a lot of scenes in skating rinks.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I did a movie for Universal, which was, I don't know if you know the great American classic Slapshot that Paul Newman was in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did the Poor Man sequel, Slapshot 2. But it was great because I got to play hockey with the Hanson brothers, who are amazing. And but I haven't done any skating in any Hallmark movies yet.
Oh.
No. maybe that's upcoming this winter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, that sounds really neat. I there's something special about that drama experience you can get in high school, and it's just so, I don't know, it's so exciting, so empowering. I was able to be in some shows when I was in high school. I was in I was in The Wiz.
Oh, great.
Just in the chorus, but I had a great time. And then I did Bye Bye Birdie, which is probably my favorite of all the ones we did.
Yeah.
But
So many great shows. And where was that?
yeah, it was in. I grew up in a little town in Maryland called Middletown, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to Middletown High School, and
Excellent.
we
Sounds
did.
like a Hallmark movie.
It really was pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just didn't have any. Well, no, we did have a town festival, but nothing like they have in Hallmark. I wish that
Uh-huh.
it's my dream to find a town festival they have in Hallmark. I want to go, and I want to report on it.
I know. I always think when they write these scenes and then they have the beautiful festivals in it, that and there are a few times
Yeah.
that I've been to places like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be the
Mhm.
best. And so
Mhm.
it was a good place to go to high school, middle school, and then my family moved my senior year of high school to California,
Okay.
and I decided I didn't want to start a whole new school for just 1 year. That was dumb. And so I
Right.
ended up just starting college early, basically.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
That's neat.
and so that's how it all ended up working out. But
Mm.
so, what was it like when you got your first role? How did that all kind of come about that you went from doing the sports and
Yeah.
drama to
Well,
getting the first role?
this sorry, yeah, this great teacher in high school, Barb Edwards. She was great. At that time, Oliver Stone was doing a film. I can't remember, a war film that she had some of the guys anyway, send tapes. She was really on it. She was just, like I say, a pilot, everything, and just a
Uh-huh.
math genius, just a really cool person, world traveler. And so she was kind of looking for opportunities for us. And then I got a kind of a sports, it's not so much a scholarship in Canada, but to go into the phys ed program at Queen's and University. And so I took that, but I started doing the drama just as a minor because we had to do an arts. It was a 2-degree program,
Mm-hmm.
concurrent. Yeah, so I was doing a minor in arts, and there was a very cool professor there, David Kemp, who had been English sort of actor, and so I kept doing plays there, and then after a couple of years, I just realized, okay, I'm not going to carry on with the phys ed thing, and so I took a year off, and then I had an opportunity to move to Toronto, which is, like I say, about 3 hours from Kingston, and I got a play there immediately when I went there that toured around, and it was a children's show and that took me all over Ontario for 6 months through the winter, and it was crazy. And it was a band of actors, and that was my first paid gig, and that was back in like 1984, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And yeah, so and that was cool, and that brought me back to my hometown, and we got to go to some of the schools where I went and do the shows, and I saw the teachers and people, and then it just kind of went from there. I got a couple of commercials, and I got some more plays, and I kept getting cast in plays, which was great. And then from that, I got my union card. And then I realized I wasn't a strong enough actor. I wanted to go to school, so I went back to college in Toronto in a theater school, George Brown there,
Mm-hmm.
which was a great theater school. And then I really started to kind of learn the whole thing. And at that time, there was just a lot more theater in Toronto and everywhere. There was some film and TV, but most of it was still in the States. And but that was the time actually that Keanu Reeves was coming out of Toronto. He was dating a girl that was in our theater school, and he had made a couple of films there. A hockey film actually with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze. And then he kind of broke out, and Michael J. Fox had come to was in Vancouver, and he was sort of breaking out in the States. And yeah, so I was doing mostly plays and musicals, but then started to get some opportunity in the kind of TV and film world.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you're just able to make that transition from theater over to television.
Well, not right away.
Mm-hmm.
Some people I think are. I was just working on a really interesting series that's produced by Robert Zemeckis, Project Blue Book,
Uh-huh.
and it's about in America in the 1950s and the whole UFO thing and that whole
Uh-huh.
aliens thing. And there's a great actor there. It's one of the leads, Michael Malarkey, and he studied in England. And I get the sense, like he's a fairly young guy, also a musician, and I get the sense that he sort of, immediately was able to make that transition. But I think there's a lot more film and TV acting taught in acting schools now than there was in my time. We had some of
Mm-hmm.
it, but I don't think it was a natural fit for me. I have a lot of energy even now at my age, and there's a lot of for a lot of film and TV projects, there's a stillness and a completely different way
Mm,
of being that I had to learn for sure. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
and that took me longer than I would say lots of people.
mm-hmm. Do you still do some theater, or you transitioned to just?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, I was close on. I wanted to do Mamma Mia this year. They were doing it here, and I'd gone out to Toronto a
Mm.
few times for it and gotten close from the big shows there. And they were doing that. And Newsies. Do you know Newsies?
Oh, I love Newsies.
Yeah. So my kids had seen it on Netflix on that incredible production with Jeremy Jordan.
Mm-hmm,
That was shot live in a theater, and it was the Broadway production, but it was shot live in a theater in LA.
mm-hmm,
And they were just kind of blown away, like, Dad, you've got to read for it. So I went down and auditioned, and I auditioned for both, and didn't get them, but just had a theater audition the other day.
mm-hmm,
There's not as much theater in Vancouver as there is in Toronto
mm-hmm,
or New York or even LA. There's some professional theaters here,
mm-hmm.
but it's definitely a film and TV town. So both my wife and I, who met in the theater, really love theater, but it's the bulk of the work here is film and TV.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
what would you describe of a day in the life of a working actor?
Well, I could tell you about yesterday, I suppose.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was okay. So here's yesterday, and this is because our kids are doing it now too, kind of. I got up at about 7. I had 3 pages of like nonstop, like a monologue, and this is like a horror. I mean, it's a great, beautifully written piece. I think Spike Lee is the executive producer, shooting Winnipeg, and I had like a day and a half to learn this stuff, and I was taping it because the tape had to be sent. So my wife and I booked a studio down at our union that has a free taping service, and we dropped the kids off at school, went down there, and then spent 2 hours taping this audition, which is a really interesting project.
Mm-hmm.
And well, 2.5 hours by the time we taped it and everything, and then and that was like a real kind of racist, horrible kind of guy from the past, from
Yeah.
so anyway, so I had a beard on and I was just pretty roughed up and whatever. Got that done, sent it to the agent so he could send it on, raced home, shaved, turned around, went to an audition for a Hallmark film, so got cleaned
That's a
up,
contrast.
and I was a happy, I guess sort of, there's always chefs in these movies, right?
Yeah.
Chefs and people skating. So raced in, kind of changed my tone completely,
Yeah.
and did that. And then my wife was auditioning an hour later at that same facility. And then, sorry, that was 2 days ago. Yeah, so that was 2 days ago, and then I had to get. I forget what else. And then the next day, yesterday, so that was that day. It was crazy. And then I had to come home and learn my lines and go to bed early because I was up early yesterday filming on Project Blue Book.
Mm.
So back home early, watch a little Brooklyn Nine-Nine with the kids, walk the dog, and fall asleep. And then the kids both got auditions, so we had to run them through how they were going to go through their auditions and figure out their schedules and get them here and there because I was shooting and we only have one car. And
Yeah.
I was filming way out early in the morning. So my wife helped prep them, and then I shot and got off in time to get back and get them, and then get my daughter and my wife to my daughter's callback, and then run my son out to this other film audition
Oh
that
my
he was
gosh.
doing. And so it's just you got to be. I guess the day in the life is with this business, things come up really fast. Used to be that you get at least 3 or 4 days and you have a chance to look at the script or at least go down to your agents and that kind of thing. And then there was faxing. And then eventually it's come down to, we need you to learn, 5 pages by tomorrow morning and tape it and send it or be here. And so you always kind of you're always kind of on call.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be frustrating sometimes. This summer we tried to go, for our big annual camping trip, and we had just gotten there, and I got a call to tape this audition. So we had, we carry stuff with us, so we had to, go to a friend's house that was near where we were camping, and film that audition and send it, and then take the ferry back 2 days later to do these auditions and leave the kids at the campsite all day by themselves.
Yeah.
with some friends.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a, that's depending on. I think it'd be nice to just be on a series where you were just shooting all the time and you weren't running around,
Mhm.
chasing the jobs. But that's not where we're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can relate at least a little bit because as
Okay.
a freelance, basically right now I'm a freelance film critic,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
like I sort of piecemeal all, I mean, I have a regular part-time job, which I'm very grateful for. But then I
Hmm.
also have the podcast, and then I'm writing articles, and I have another podcast that I do. I have,
Same thing, right?
yeah. So you just kind of pile them all together and
Yeah, and sometimes you're working late in the night, and that's just the
yeah.
way it goes, and you
Yeah.
can't make the plans that other people have. And sometimes you have time, but
Yeah.
it's not always on your own schedule, right?
Right. Yeah, that's how it ends up working, but I'm grateful for it. So grateful.
Yeah, you're
But
happy.
yeah.
You're happy with what you have going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good.
So your first role for Hallmark was in the Miss Miracle movie, I believe.
I think it was because I was talking to Ruth about that. Ruth Mayer Hill that writes
Uh-huh.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think so because they weren't making as. I mean, now, gosh, I think they're making like 50,
41.
60, 70. I don't know how many films they made here this year, but a
Well, just at
crazy amount. And
Christmas,
there's
41. Just at
for
Christmas.
Christmas movies.
Just for Christmas. Yeah, they're making
Yeah,
41.
yeah. No, it's insane,
It's
and series and everything else. It's
yeah.
it's great. I mean, it's really awesome for Vancouver and all the
Yeah.
actors here. It's great opportunity, and then Victoria, and of course they're shooting in Winnipeg and Toronto.
Hmm.
But yeah, that one was nice because there's a really lovely Joanna Newmarch who has a regular role on When Calls the Heart.
Right.
She was playing my wife, and she's a great actress. And yeah, I didn't have that much to do. I was just kind of the husband that was around, but there was a couple of really nice scenes. And again, that was one of those ones where, and it was Doris Roberts,
Hmm.
who is a great actress. Everybody loves Raymond.
Hmm.
And Aliens in the Attic. She played the grandma that goes into that big kickboxing scene in that. Great actress. So she
Yeah.
was, yeah. So that was one of those ones you talked about the celebrations. They had a big, kind of concert at the end,
Right.
and everybody was there, and there was music and singing, and it was, yeah. So that was my first experience, and we shot in a great little, beautiful little community called Fort Langley that they often use for Christmas films, and
Yeah.
because it's got that old timey feel.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was nice. I was on that for 3 or 4 days, and I literally had 3 or 4 lines. I was just kind of around
Uh-huh.
all the time, which was so it was a nice way to be introduced to it.
Yeah. So when you do these
Hmm.
Hallmark movies, they usually shoot pretty early in the morning, don't they? And then it's a pretty long shoot.
It can be. I mean, when we were doing Pumpkin Pie Wars, which was the sort of harvest
Uh-huh.
theme,
Yeah.
with Julie Gonzalo, and yeah, that was a lot of fun, and that was on sort of different. We were in bakeries and on farms and different things going on. So generally speaking, you're up and out by 6 and on set by 7 or at the
Mhm.
very latest 8, depending on the size of your role and when you're needed.
Mhm.
So, and sometimes they got to get, I mean, it's different for my wife who's got big, crazy hair. And so she's usually like in makeup and hair for like an hour or longer. So they've
Yeah.
oftentimes, depending on who they have to get in for stuff. So, yeah, you go through that process. And yeah, every day is different. Like I say, yesterday I was shooting, I was on set at 7, I think, and had to leave here at about 6. But I was done by 1. So,
Oh, wow. Do you guys
hmm
get to do a lot of projects together?
we don't. More so in the theater. The Pumpkin Pie Wars was the first one, other than a film that we'd made ourselves, um, that was based on a play that I wrote. I think that was the first one that we actually, and we didn't have much together. She had auditioned for the part that ended up going to another woman that was my wife. So there's sort of two women that are rivals. That were best friends,
Right.
and then their kids kind of fall in love. Well, I'm sure people might know Pumpkin Pie Wars by now.
Yeah.
It's been out for a few years. So that was one where I had 10 or 11 days, and she had 10 or 11 days, but we were only worked together, I think, maybe 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and then our kids are on it too. They came in just to do some extra background work as festival goers, and
Mhm.
so that was fun. They got to hang out. But yeah, we just because she was shooting a lot of scenes, my wife was shooting a lot of scenes with her son who's the main the love interest and the main
Mm.
male lead, and
Mhm.
then I was shooting the stuff with my wife and my daughter, Julie Gonzalez character.
Right, right. Okay.
Hmm.
Is it weird filming these Christmas movies, like usually in July, kind of a thing? Like, is it kind of a
Well,
strange
I
thing?
mean, I think it is for some people. I think, I often see people putting pictures up. Here I am, and it's 30 degrees, or for you guys 90 degrees or 95 degrees,
Right, yeah.
and you're in a Christmas sweater in the middle of somewhere in this fake snow. I mean, I guess the thing with me, I really love Christmas. I just love it, and we've done a benefit for here for almost 20 years that we do every Christmas. So we have carol sheets, we sing
Oh.
Christmas songs, and I do a lot of Christmas gigs as a musician and as a children's musician. So many times when I'm doing kids gigs in the summer or any time of year, when you ask kids, what would you like to hear? Because I always ask them, they'll either ask for, well, now like Moana or Trolls or Frozen or something, but lots of
Uh-huh.
kids that don't know their favorite song is like Rudolph or something. So they'll ask for a Christmas song in the middle of the summer or whenever.
Hmm.
It doesn't occur to them that it's just a Christmas song.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to kind of just, and I just go right into it. People are like, "Oh, you know these Christmas songs?" Like, "Yep, I
Yeah.
do. I've been singing them." And I actually, because I love Christmas songs, I have no problem singing them anytime. So
Yeah.
I guess it's probably a little. I mean, sometimes you're there. More to me, as I was in Costco yesterday, and there was Christmas trees were up, and I was like, "It's not even Halloween yet."
Yeah. I
But
know.
yeah, the Christmas thing, I think we've all gotten used to it here because it's like, oh, great, got a Christmas movie in July.
Is it hard to stay hydrated when you're in those Christmas sweaters in the summer?
Yeah, I suppose it depends. I mean, we didn't have as hot of a summer here this year. Last year was crazy hot at times.
Yeah.
So that sometimes like that when you have that, and then the reverse when we're shooting Over the Moon in Love, which is the Hallmark film with Jessica Lowndes that's coming out that I made. We were shooting at night, and it was supposed to be this gorgeous, wedding scene, right? And the
Yeah.
perfect sort of summer wedding. And just oddly, even though it was June or July, it was really cold, and we were on a golf course at this beautiful location, but there was actually like mist, and it had been raining, and everybody's in party dresses. Luckily, for me, I was in a suit, but lots of these they were just freezing, and it was like gotta look happy and warm.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the real acting. So I guess the other is you got to look like you're enjoying Christmas when you're baking hot.
Yeah, I'd be worried that I would be like, okay, I'm done with, by the time you actually get to regular Christmas, be like, I'm done with Christmas. I've already celebrated it for 6 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, the films they don't last that long, but yeah, sometimes I suppose. But
Yeah.
the great thing about the Christmas films too, and the crew is that you're talking about staying hydrated. You're generally taking really good care of on set. So there's always somebody bringing you some water or
Oh,
looking
good.
at you and making sure that you have water or coffee or whatever you need, right?
Yeah,
And so that's the lucky thing of that business is you tend
that's
to
good.
get spoiled, but yeah, you're well taken care of.
Oh, good. So you
Yeah.
were on a couple episodes of Chesapeake Shores for
Mhm.
Hallmark. Was that a fun set to be?
Really great. It's shot in just an amazing location on Vancouver Island. So here in Vancouver, for anybody that's somewhere, we're up just a couple hours north of Seattle, and it's kind of rainforesty. But there's an interesting. I mean, the Mojave does come all the way up this far, about a few hours east. It comes up kind of through Spokane and up into that part of British Columbia. So that can be warm or cold. And then where we are in the summer, you can get these beautiful sort of banana belts that come through. So Chesapeake Shores is shot. If you take a ferry ride from here or a plane, they flew us over, which was gorgeous. You fly over the islands, and then you fly into this small kind of area, Qualicum Beach and Parksville. And they just have like for the where we shot a bunch of it, the 2 episodes I did is in this gorgeous beach house, which I guess is the family home. And the first episode I did was a wedding, and I was the priest there, and then also talking with Diane Ladd about why she'd gone back to Ireland and
Oh,
so on. So just
yeah.
a gorgeous grounds right on the water, and sometimes orcas are going by or seals, and so Treat Williams and the crew, the cast, when they're not working, they're out kayaking, or they're he's also a pilot, so he's flying around, and it's really really a beautiful place. So that was a great show to get on and to work with people like Treat Williams, who, speaking of Grease, he was in Grease. He was one of the understudies when John Travolta and those guys were doing that on Broadway. And then he ended up playing Danny and Kinnicky, I think, for a few years. And
Mm.
so great actors like him and Diane Ladd and the other people. I mean, they really have top quality people on that show. So and good writing. So I'm glad to see it going well.
Yeah. Yeah, we were lucky enough to have Barbara Niven and Andrew Francis on
Oh,
the
great.
podcast last year. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're really
Really lovely people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. You were also in one of my all-time favorite TV movies in
Oh, yeah.
Lifetime called Love Notes. I don't know what your
Oh,
part
love.
was, but I love Notes.
Oh, really? I
I
don't know that
do.
I ever saw it.
It's really good.
I'm trying to remember. The main girl was from
Laura Leighton from Melrose Place.
from Melrose Place. That's right.
Yeah, and Antonio Cupo, who's so
Oh,
dreamy in
yeah.
that movie.
Yeah, he's with our agency actually. So he's
Yeah.
I see him. Yeah, he's pretty dreamy.
He needs to do more Hallmark movies. It's been
Well,
a
he
little
just
while.
produced one here actually.
Yeah.
He just produced a film that I'm assuming was a Hallmark called Under the Olive Tree. And I
Yes.
thought he was starring in it because a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine were in it, but I guess he was producing. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he needs to be in it. We need to see him.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
didn't know he was in that film because that was quite a while ago. I think that was one of the first really neat director. I think that was David Weaver that made that film.
yeah.
And that was also shot in Fort Langley where we shot Mrs. Miracle.
Oh, really?
But yeah, but that was a long time back.
Yeah, 2007.
Was
It's
it? Okay.
yeah, I just love it. I think the writing's really good and it's really
Hmm.
dishy and I don't
Oh.
know. I just really like it. I
I
think
should
it's
I
good
should see it
chemistry.
actually then because
Yeah.
it's if you're saying it's a good one. I know Ellie Harvey is in it, and she's a great local actress. I think she plays one of the main girl's best friends, and she
Right.
played my wife. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, yeah. And she's on the Aurora Teagarden in the Aurora Teagarden movies.
is she?
Yeah, Ellie is.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's one of my favorites.
Oh, cool. I'll
But
have to check that out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've done some music as you've talked about. Is
Hmm.
that a passion of yours? Is music?
Yeah, I think probably before acting, really.
Mhm.
It was. I mean, I always loved music. I was always singing to Queen in the bathroom, with a hairbrush, and trying to be all those great rock singers. And it was, my mom she had bought this beautiful Goya guitar because Julie Andrews had that same guitar in Sound of Music.
Mhm.
So I think my mom was interested in not only being a nun but also being a singing nun.
Right.
And so my mom had a beautiful voice. She was always singing. And then my brothers were playing music, and my brothers started playing guitar. And then eventually, I didn't pick one up till I was about 20. But I was always definitely interested in music, and it just didn't seem like it was going to happen for me, even though I kept on doing it. And luckily, I kept on doing it because it's easy to get discouraged when people tell you suck.
Right. Yeah.
But thankfully, I loved it enough and got to do enough musicals in high school and things like that I just sort of persevered. And now I have a band, and I've got to play in a sort of a solo situation and with a duo, and so I've got lots of music in my life now, which is great.
That's awesome. What kind of music
Hmm.
do you like to sing?
Well, a lot of stuff. I mean, I was talking to, like I say, the lead guy on Project Blue Book yesterday, who's also Michael Malarkey's also a singer, and he's doing a European tour, and we were just talking about how do you describe your music, and I said, well, I really like singer songwriters like John Prine or Tracy Chapman, people like that. With our band, we play mostly covers, so we play a lot of classic rock, so we play everything from Boston and all those big old hits up to stuff now, Snow Patrol or Ed Sheeran or whatever. Depends on the venue. And then I play in senior centers and extended care homes, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back playing stuff that's from the 50s and just sort of fun sing-along songs. I love that kind of stuff because I like the situation where everybody's singing together in a kind of a community scenario.
Uh-huh.
So I've kind of
Cool.
over the years learned sort of hundreds of songs that people like, and then more obscure songs that I like. And my own music tends to be kind of more along the lines of social conscious
Uh,
stuff, and sometimes kind of lighthearted, sort of fun stuff. But yeah, I tend to be more of a storyteller in my songs.
cool.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Good.
I kind of like a lot of different things, but I guess the main vein would be sort of folk, rock, and some pop in there. Yeah,
Cool.
an interesting country. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. So the new Hallmark movie that you have coming out is Over the
Yes.
Moon in Love. We at this point in time, I'm not sure when it's actually going to air, what's going on, but we'll announce that on the podcast. So just but
Yeah, it was September 21st, but I think it might be October 5th now. I was just talking to the director about it, and it looks like it's going to be delayed a couple weeks.
yeah, so
Mm.
we're not sure, but it looks fun. And
Oh yeah,
this was
yeah,
written by Jessica Lowndes and
yeah,
starring her, huh?
yeah. Pretty cool. Well, what it was is she had this sort of passion project, and that she wanted to get done, and she's got a name, and she's got a great voice, and she's got
Mhm.
and it's a great script. And but she, it's always hard to get somebody to take a chance on it, especially when it's Hallmark. They've got a lot of people that want to write for them and so on, right?
Sure.
But Christy Will Wolf, who's the director and also a writer,
Mhm.
and she just won our version of the Academy Awards here for best screenwriting, I think, actually, and the Leo Awards in BC is what it is.
Mhm.
So she kind of co-wrote with Jessica on that, and Tim Johnson was the producer, and he championed her, which was great because it's taking a risk with music. Movies are more popular, but still, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So she wrote it, and she produced, and she starred in it, and she wrote a bunch of the songs for it.
Yeah.
She's just a dynamo, amazing. So I
Mhm.
thought she was very impressive. I'd never met her before, and I had read for something else in the film, and I ended up playing her father in it,
Mm.
and which was great because I got to meet her and her dad and her uncle and her family because they were all there, and it was fun. It was a really really nice film, very sweet film. I think it's going to be a really good one.
Well, we're really excited about it because we love Christy Will Wolf. She's
Yeah.
made some of our favorites,
Oh,
and
great.
yeah, and her and Jessica have worked together on other projects.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah,
Hmm.
they worked on Yes I Do. She was kind of the
Okay.
villain. Jessica was sort of the villain. The other
Oh,
woman
really?
tried to
Yeah.
steal away from Jen Lilly.
Uh,
Uh,
right.
and so yeah, I'm definitely very curious to see with her writing and starring in it. I think it'll be very interesting. And I love Wes Brown. He is
Yeah, Wes was great. I'd
best.
never met either of them, but he was fun.
Yeah, he's very
Yeah.
dreamy too. So
Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't know the 90210 thing, that sort of
uh,
second one. I knew the first one, and
right.
then I sort of put up a picture of me and Jess and that I was working with, and my niece back east was like, "Oh my God, you're working with so and so," and named the
Yeah.
characters, right? I was like, "Oh yeah, no, being older and not that much of a TV watcher, I just didn't know who they were." But Wes, wow, I was really impressed with him. He picked up my guitar and started playing. Very good guitar player and beautiful singing voice. And I don't know if he's a singer, but
Uh-huh.
between the two of them, they were singing, and I was like, wow, these guys are excellent. Like really beautiful voices.
Cool.
Hmm.
What's the movie about a little bit? Uh,
Well, and I should say too that Miranda Frigon is in it, and she's
mhm.
also got a bunch of beautiful voices. She has a few of her own
Oh.
songs in the soundtrack too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very cool. She's a Hallmark favorite, right?
Yeah, she's in
Yeah.
also in Aurora Tea Garden.
Oh, is that right? Eh?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I better get on that. I've auditioned for that a few times. Yeah, so the film is without saying too much, it's a sweet love story about people who love music and somehow are connected by music, but things they don't really work out for them,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe it'll work out for them. Maybe
Cool.
music will help.
Yeah.
kind of like
Good.
kind of like a happy Star is Born, maybe. The antithesis that
Yeah.
Wes Brown isn't hanging himself in the garage at the end of the movie. Let's say that.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I spoiled. Did I spoil out
Oh.
Star is Born? Sorry, everybody. Nobody.
Uh,
Nothing. There's nothing like that. It was just a dummy in a Halloween scene.
well, good. Good. We're really looking forward to it,
Yeah.
and then just real quick before we do the final questions, you are also in a
Yeah.
Christmas movie this year with Aaron Cahill, I guess.
Did I? Oh, yes.
Random Acts
Yes.
of Christmas.
That's right. That was a crazy one. I had just finished shooting that one with Jess and Wes and everyone and Christy. And there's a company here that's sort of making a bunch of them, and there's a really great first AD on there, Troy Scott, lovely guy. So luckily, I was just rehearsing for a gig in my trailer, and Jess heard me playing,
Uh-huh.
and was like, "Oh wow, you sing and play? That's cool. Do you think you could do a song to kind of introduce the scene?" And she was just kind of going
Oh,
on the fly, right?
yeah.
And Christy's like, "Oh yeah, I guess so. Have to be one of yours." So I threw them a couple. And like, "Yeah, let's do this." So I got one of my songs in the film,
Oh, that's
which was
awesome.
nice, singing to Jess. Yeah, and as a result of that, just happened to have my guitar there, and then I ended up playing in the kind of band in the film, which Jess's real dad is the drummer, and that was just fun. And from that, the AD was doing another film, and he was like, "Hey, we need somebody to be singing this Christmas song that's called Pete." And so I only met Aaron quickly, and the male lead, who I forgot his name,
Evan
really nice guy.
McGarry.
Right. Popular Hallmark people, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's
And I was just
also
kind of
very
literally
funny.
flew in because I was doing a gig somewhere else, and they just kind of
Uh-huh.
got me there. And I was cranking out this Christmas song in the middle of July,
Oh my
and
God.
I won't say which, so we won't spoil it. But
Right.
and they were in the scene with their son, and there was kind of a thing, and kind of music plays a prominent feature in that film too.
Uh-huh.
And so it's one of those ones where I just came in for like literally half a day and banged it out, met everybody quickly, and that was sweet. Yeah.
Cool. Very
And
good.
that's a nice premise. Random Acts of Christmas. I don't know much else about it, but I like the premise
Yeah.
of that film. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're excited for
Hmm.
it. All right. So we like to leave our guests with what we call the Teen Beat questions. And these are
Sure.
just kind of silly questions that one of our co-hosts found in an old issue of Teen Beat magazine.
It
So
was big when I was a kid.
yeah,
That's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Ralph Macchio on the cover.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. First one is, what is the best ice cream flavor?
Oh, the best ice cream flavor?
Yes.
Brown. Have you
Brown?
seen that hilarious podcast by these three brothers where they're making up songs about ice cream?
No.
Oh, it's the funniest thing in the world. My kids showed it to me, and they're improvising, and then the guy's like, "Oh, you got this, and you got vanilla bean. What's your favorite flavor?" "My favorite flavor," and the brother can't think. He's panicking, and he goes, "Brown," and then the other guy's like, "Brown is the favorite flavor, brown."
That is funny. I'll have to check
Oh
that
my
out.
God, you've got it. My favorite is
Uh,
pistachio. But
okay.
if you get a
Yeah,
chance to look up that podcast with the three brothers, I know what it's called. Very funny.
that's cool. Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite color?
Favorite color? Well, I always think of my son because he says magenta, and I'm like, what is magenta? Oh my God. I'd have to say lime green. There was like a lime green
Oh,
Mustang in the 60s that I loved, and then I got a Hot Wheel version of it, and I just loved that kind of sharp color.
cool. Okay, that's
Yeah. I
green is
like
always,
the bright lime, not like the
yeah.
dark limes, those bright limes.
Green is always on brand, with Hallmark, green and
Oh,
red.
is it? Oh,
Well,
I
yeah,
guess so.
Christmas,
Yeah.
but I don't
Yeah.
know about bright green, but
Right.
we can count it. Um,
Okay.
so you kind of already talked about it. What music are you listening to right now?
Oh, what am I
One of your
listening to
favorite?
now? I'm listening to this really cool band called the Rad Trads. I work at the Vancouver Folk Festival every year, and
Uh-huh.
our kids and ever we get the kids are performing with us now, and they get to meet all these artists backstage. And we met these cool dudes out of Brooklyn called the Rad Trads, and they're all jazz trained artists,
Mm,
but they've got a really neat band with horns, and they all sing. They play different instruments, a bunch of horns, guitars, and they're out of Brooklyn, but one of the guys, Michael, just moved to Portland. And we just were hanging with them after and went to their CD signing session and met them, and we got a couple of CDs, and they were just fantastic. So we kind of got them on heavy rotation.
Uh-huh.
And Wallace Bird, who's out of Ireland but originally from Berlin. I've been listening to her new stuff. She's a really neat artist. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So that sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your go-to date night food?
Date night? We were just talking about having a date the other day, my wife and I, and it hasn't happened for years, but it might happen. Something with alcohol? I don't know. My favorite date night food would probably be, gosh, I don't know. It's all family restaurants these days. It's whatever the kids want to eat. They're both vegetarian now, so we're just dancing around trying to figure out favorite date night food. Oh, you know what it would be? It would be, because I never get to have it anymore, it was Chinese food.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. If I could convince my wife to eat it.
Okay. So this would go into the next question is, what's your go-to date night activity? So it sounds like
sleeping, I think.
Sleeping.
No, a date night activity would probably be actually going to hear live music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, going to a concert or just like a local, bar to hear somebody playing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dogs or cats?
Oh, gosh, that's tough. I guess it's dogs, because I've become allergic to cats, even though I love them and grew up with them and having babies in our shirts on the farm and in the barn. So right now we have a dog and no cat. The kids desperately want one, but I'm gonna have to go with dog, I guess. Yeah.
I know, they make my eyes puffy if I'm around cats.
Which is a drag, because I love cats.
Okay, beaches or mountains?
Both. Mountains that run down to the beaches.
Okay, only in Vancouver.
Just run from the top to the bottom. We can do it in 40 minutes here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right, a suit and tie or sweats?
Oh, sweats, no question.
Yeah. Okay. Your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Favorite holiday? Well, my kids say that we go to the folk festival. That's their favorite holiday, but it's not a holiday, but it's a folk music festival. They say it's better than Christmas. I would say Christmas, and Thanksgiving's a close second, just because of the whole family thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Good. All right. Last question. And this is very difficult for you up in Canada because you don't have the Hallmark channel. But what is your favorite Hallmark movie?
Oh.
It can be one you've been in.
Okay. No, there's a film that, well, maybe. I haven't seen them all, is the thing. But there was a film. I was over, I think it was when I was over where I was shooting Chesapeake Shores or somewhere. And I was watching, because we don't have cable, our family. We have, we're just not big TV watchers, but we do have Netflix. We have a TV and Netflix, but we don't have cable and that kind of thing. So I don't always see the ones unless they come on. And there was one with a woman that I just thought was fantastic. She was so amazing, and I can't remember the name of it, and I can't remember her name, but it was on, and I was watching, and I was thinking, I wonder if this was shot here, and I wonder if I know anyone, blah, blah, probably, and I wish I could tell you the name of it.
Do you remember the plot at all?
No, I just thought that she was such an amazing actress, and I hadn't seen her before, and she'd been on a big series. I wish I could remember the name of the series, but unfortunately I can't. And by Googling it, I'm probably not going to find it. Yeah, I can't. From that, I would say having done Pumpkin Pie Wars was really fun, just because I got to work with my wife, and Julie Gonzalez was so great, and everybody that was in it. And I also had a really good time in Love by Chance, which was where I played this sort of uncle of Beau Garrett. And Brenda Strong was in that, and a friend of mine played her husband, Garwin Sanford, who's a local actor here. And that was directed by Gary Harvey. So that was really, you know who was in that? It was Ellie Harvey, the girl that you love from Love Notes.
Yeah, that's
great local actress. And John Cassini played the Italian baker, a great local actor, both great. So that was a great experience. So I guess if I would have to say, one of those ones, since I can't think of that. How's that?
We love Pumpkin Pie Wars. It's written by Nina Wyman, who's one of our was our first interview we ever got, and she's she's incredible, and that was
Right.
a lot of fun. It's kind of a whole Romeo and Juliet sort of a feel to to
That's right. Yeah.
which makes
Yeah.
it fun. So,
Yeah.
all
It was
right.
fun.
Well, you passed the test. You
Oh,
keep
good.
making Hallmark movies.
I guess I should have said Over the Moon in Love because it's coming out and all these great people. That's my favorite. Over the Moon in Love.
That's your
It's
favorite.
it's the absolute favorite, even because it's got my song in it. No, because there's a bunch of great people in it. Yes. There
Well,
you go.
good.
There's my plug. Yeah, and it's coming out soon.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really
Yeah, my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
And, are you on social media at all? With your,
Yep. Yeah,
uh,
a little bit. Yeah.
how can people follow you?
Well, I just went off for a bit, which was great. My son's like, "Dad, you should go off that for a while." I was like, so I took a 3-week break, and it was so great.
Uh-huh.
I'm on Instagram at Peter Double G, since it's Graham-Gaudreau and people can never
Uh-huh.
remember it. So it's just Peter and then double, like double bubble,
Uh-huh.
Dubble-G. It looks like Peter Dub Leg G. And then on Facebook and that kind of thing, I'm just under the same thing, Peter Double G or Peter GG. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have all
Yeah.
that in the description section. Anyone can follow you, and I will look forward to your next role. So thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. And yeah, we'll hopefully get to talk again another time.
Thanks a lot, Rachel. I
Okay.
appreciate it. And stay well and keep singing.
All right, will do.
And all those other things that you do.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Take care.
We'd like to thank Peter for coming on the podcast. That was so much fun. And make sure you're following the podcast, the Hallmarkies Pod, all over social media and on iTunes and YouTube. And if you're listening on iTunes, please give us your ratings and reviews. If you're listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and please follow me at Rachel's Reviews all over iTunes, YouTube, social media. I would really appreciate that as well. And consider becoming a patron of the channel. That's how we get these interviews and a lot of other fun content and giveaways and other stuff. That information is all in the description. And so we really appreciate that. And thanks so much. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.